Hey everybody, we're going to be talking about Bandersnatch, which is not as filthy as it sounds, although it sounds pretty goddamn filthy. We're going to be talking about the Netflix Black Mirror movie, I suppose it's called, although I'd hesitate to call it a movie. We're here with Clay. Clay, we're going to be talking about the Choose Your Own Adventure movie, Bandersnatch. How are you?
Would you like me to talk about Bandersnatch, or would you like me to kill your father?
How would you kill him? Would you chop him up, or would you bury him in the backyard?
Well, I don't know. It depends on whether or not I remember the phone number for my therapist.
I did not get that. I'll be interested to... Let's start this off with... I actually don't know what the best way to start. I guess we have to talk a little bit before I can get into that. But anyway, Bandersnatch is it's a Netflix Black Mirror episode that is really like a choose your own adventure book where you are watching this thing and occasionally in the movie choices will come up. It's always a 2-option choice, I think, on the bottom of the screen. The first one that you run into is the character, whether he wants to eat like sugar puffs or frosted flakes for breakfast, and you choose one. And then the movie plays out based on your choice. And there are a bunch of different endings and a bunch of different outcomes, much like a choose your own adventure book. That's the basic premise. And I watched it last night. I rewatched it a couple times this morning in a sort of a half-assed way just to see what the different outcomes were, if I would follow through with different ways. Ignoring... What was your first ending that you ran into?
The very first thing that I did was when he gets to the game place and they ask him if he wants to do the game with the company.
Yeah.
I chose yes.
I did too.
Yeah, and then I think they must assume everybody's going to do that because that was where it really, like, I was on the fence. I don't know if I was on the fence. I thought it was kind of cute. But it wasn't until I did that, and then the second go-around, the movie itself was different, that I thought, oh, this is more interesting than I thought it was going to be. Because it's not just like a video game cutscene. It's actually, you're actually shaping the reality of the movie, which I thought was actually really cool. Because, you go through... After you make that choice, it jumps forward in time and it's like, well, your game sucks. Sorry. And then he's like, I think I can do better. And then it starts over again. But this time it kind of does a short take to jump you back to where your choice was. But it's ever so slightly different and adds a bit of a Groundhog Day element to it.
Yeah. Where
some of the characters act a little bit differently or they react ways that, or I think one character is like, oh, we've met before. And the main guy's like, wait, we have?
Yes, and
like
he recognizes the game before being told what it is. So he knows information from the previous timeline. Yeah.
Right. And once I got to that point, I was like, oh, that's pretty clever, actually. That's not as simple as just you didn't beat this level, go back and try it again.
And just on a technical level, I think they did that first choice intentionally because there's not really a reason why he wouldn't take the deal. They don't explain anything like that. So I think that all that is doing is that the movie is showing you how it's possible to reach the end of the story.
Yeah.
So they set you up with this thing where I think 95% of people would say, yeah, I'm going to take the deal. I want to make my game. But the movie wants him to develop it on his own. So they want you to decline it and then go home and work on it.
I will say, as someone who deals with
freelancing
contracts and freelancing and stuff like this, my immediate response was like, do not. I was like, you have seen no contract. You don't know what you're signing away. Do not say yes to this. I was right.
I, being the salaried worker, was like, damn right, I'd like to have multiple desks and a team to come in and call my own. I would gladly take this deal. Yep. So that's kind of the way that it works. And you build your way through. So we both came to the same ending because one of my criticisms of this and Choose Your Own Adventure books in general is that structurally to these stories, there is a true winning path to get to it. And I would define the winning path as the one that keeps you reading or watching the longest. Like that is the correct path that the movie wants you to get to. So there are a lot of dead ends in this movie and in the Choose Your Own Adventure book where you make the wrong choice and the thing is just like, oh, a snake bit you and you die. Or in this case, it's like, well, destroying your computer stops you from being able to work on it. Therefore, the movie is now going to end. Like any choice the character makes where he is destroying his computer will end the movie for you. So you're always, and the funny thing about it is when I watched the first time, I was not super impressed with this the first time that I saw it. But the second time I was much more impressed with it because when you see how the other timelines play into it and where the story wants you to go, you appreciate it more, I think. Where the freedom of choice feels very infinite, or like not infinite, but it feels very open the first time you watch it. The second time through, you realize where the story wants you to go and what the story is actually considering to be important, like what the spine of it is to be. And following that along feels a little bit more satisfying because you know what potholes you need to avoid to get to the end.
Right. And the thing I noticed, excuse me. So when I got to my first full ending, like when I made it through to the quote unquote end of the story, involved discovering a potential mind control thing. And he ended up killing his father and cutting up his dad.
Did you get the safe in your first watch though?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw nothing of the safe in my first watch through. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Cause I got the safe the first time through. And it ended up with him killing his father and cutting up the body. And then, his game comes out and he gets a 5 out of 5, but he's in jail or something like that.
Yeah.
And when I went back, I kind of went back and I was just trying to hack my way through and find all of the different pathways. And it wasn't until the third or fourth time I was kind of chunking my way through that I found the pathway that allows you to go back in time.
Yes.
Which makes it a completely different movie.
Yeah.
Like you can, you can, they talk about all of the stuff that he talks about with Colin, where it's the
LSD trip.
Yeah, the LSD trip where he talks about the PACS.
Yep.
And X, Y, and all these other kinds of things.
There's a couple scenes throughout the movie that I think that are sort of vital. They're like the biggest split points that you can go through. One of them is his first appointment with his doctor, and the tripping with Colin is huge. Tripping with Colin, I think, unlocks things that you can't get to otherwise. Like it's a point that you have to go through to get to better endings, I think. Yeah,
you do. Because I went back and I went through and I didn't choose to follow him. And you go to the doctor's appointment and the doctor's like, what if we just put you on more meds? And then you just get you get the meds and you take them home. And if you take the meds, that's the end of the movie. Then it jumps you forward and it goes like, this game's okay, but it
boring.
Seems like he was, but you can, the thing where you can actually go back in time, I realized it makes it a different movie because then it becomes less about him losing his mind and more about him dealing with these alternate timelines and then dealing with the death of his mother.
Yes.
Which, because the other way doesn't deal with that stuff. Like it plays into it in a certain way when you start getting into the conspiracy stuff, but it doesn't actually address it in a storyline way the way it does if you choose to go the other way.
Yeah, so it ties into the point. We have a couple people. It's maybe Kyle was the one who was Kyle on Discord had been watching. Say he wasn't too impressed. He'd only watched it once. I felt the same way my first time through. I really think you have to watch this a couple times to really absorb how full it is. Like you don't really get a sense of how much is going on your first time through because you kind of feel. My first time, I thought it was just. It's a choose your own adventure where the guy is slowly losing his mind. They're doing a little bit of meta commentary on the person pushing his buttons is the voices in his head that he's listening to. And then he kills his father at the end and he goes to jail and the game is a success because he, it's a kind of a commentary on like to be creative is to be like more genius than other people. It's not the dull sort of take your drugs and go away kind of thing. And what it does is if you do the other storylines, it really fleshes out, like, there's a ton of different ways you can look at what the story is about. Like, you can see it as you were, where it's going back in time and sort of reliving the trauma with your mother. There's the there's the storyline where he goes and it just completely goes off the rails. He goes back to the therapist and they get in a fist fight with each other. And then his father comes in and fights him. That's just like
the Netflix ending.
Yeah, the Netflix ending. That's just kind of crazy ending. It has the whole horror thing.
Did you get the version of that where if you don't fight them and you choose to jump out the window, they completely break the fourth wall?
No, is that what happens? I've never choose to jump out the window. I just saw the
if you choose jump out the window, he goes to jump out the window and somebody calls cut and they pull the camera back and it's the set of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then one of the PAs comes over and starts talking to him, but he's still the character from the movie.
Right.
So he doesn't know what the hell's going on. I thought that was pretty cute.
Yeah, they're very different from each other. There's a lot of different angles to go off on. Like I completely missed the first time that you could go into that locked room, which I had assumed was your father's bedroom. I thought he was locking himself into the bedroom at night as protection, but it's his office. Did not realize there was a safe. Did not realize you could type in passwords. Did not realize all the stuff that played into.
I'm curious to know how you didn't get to the safe.
Because you have to pick up the book instead of looking at the family photo. When the book is the book and the key or whatever, the title. And that,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, because I thought that's true. Okay, that's right. Because you have a dream regardless of which of those you choose. But yeah, I guess only the book brings you to the safe. That's right. Okay.
Yes. So you can totally bypass that. And he follows the same thing of going crazy and not taking his medication, and then he kills his father. And it's better to chop up your father, I think, than it is to bury him in the backyard.
Yeah. You know, the burying is weird. It has a bunch of different things you can do, one of which involves you killing the owner of the game company.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because there's a certain point where if you choose to bury him, the game, I forget exactly how you get there, but you miss the deadline for the game. And so that game, Tucker freaks out and he's like, well, I'll go get the game myself. And he shows up at your house.
Oh, I looked that up. That's actually random. I got the girlfriend of Colin showing up.
At his house?
At his house, yeah.
Oh, I didn't get that one. Yeah, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was an option. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, apparently that's the only random thing that happens. There's 3 options. I don't know who the third person is that shows up. But so when the other guy shows up, he kills himself?
He kills the guy.
Oh, he kills the guy.
They don't show him do it. He kind of shows up and he pulls the knife on him, and then they kind of cut to the next scene.
Gotcha.
The weird thing that I thought was kind of underwhelming, though, was if you choose to bury the body, you get this thing where he calls his therapist, and they make this big deal out of knowing the therapist's phone number and remembering the phone number.
I got that once and had no idea what to type in, yeah.
Yeah, and if you type it in correctly, it just goes directly to the therapist, and then it's just... like the way that they set it up, it seemed like it was going to be more of like open the story up more.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of him getting in touch with the therapist. It was weird.
Yeah. Because the same, I guess there are 4 options to the safe. I've seen 3 of them.
Yeah, there's PAX, PAX, PAC.
The initials of the author, JFD.
Yep. And there's actually 5 then, because there's... No, you're right. There's 4 because there's JFD and Toy is the other one.
Yep. I've seen the PAX and the POC or PAC one. I think I know what happens in the other ones, but those all kind of end you up in the same place, I think, right? Or is one of them totally different?
Yeah. If you do PAX, nothing happens. It's the wrong password, and you get the demon thing.
Yeah, it's a jump scare. Yeah.
But then you wake up, and it just goes directly from that to the point where he's asking who's controlling him on his TV and asking for a sign. Same with JFD. It's another kind of jump scare thing. And Toy is, there's no... See, this is what I thought was really interesting, too, is and where it really breaks... I couldn't figure out how to... I went back and I was trying... Because I got Toy only because I went back and was kind of like futzing with stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get Toy organically, because when you do Toy, it opens the safe and there's nothing in there about the mind control stuff. It's just the bunny toy, and that leads you down the path of him going back in time. And it's kind of weird the way it plays out, but he ends up like sort of going back in time and dying with his mother on the train, and then
he takes the train with her, and it turns out to not matter which train they take; they're going to die either way.
No, it's the same train.
Oh, he's on the later train at that point.
Yeah, I believe it's the same train. Yeah,
okay.
It's just that they leave together instead of him futzing around trying to find the bunny.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I don't know how you get to that organically, because you still have to do the book in order to get to the safe.
Yes.
And I assume that you go down the path of the bunny if you go down the family stuff. So I couldn't figure out how you get to that toy moment organically.
Yeah, that's true. Because the toy one is the one that I have not seen. I have not gotten the option to do it. So even just doing the family on my first trip through, well, it makes sense. I didn't see the safe, so I wasn't able to make it there. But yeah, it's I don't know how you get that organically, and I think that those are pretty much the peak endings are the killing your, like the farthest endings are the killing your father endings, right? And then he either does well with the game or some variation of that. I think that's as far as you can get. Those would be considered like the sort of canon endings to the story. And I think it was well worth watching. I don't know if I would want to do this all the time. Sort of like, it's neat as a kind of gimmick thing to go through, and it's very true to a choose your own adventure kind of story, and it's neat to feel the control. Technically, on a technical level, it's impressive how seamless the decision making is.
Yeah, it was super smooth. I was really impressed.
And outside of that, it's neat. There's a lot going into it, but I also think that you can't tell a truly cohesive story this way. You can kind of hint at little different things. You can have the crazy ending, you can have the free will ending, you can have the demon ending, you can have a kill your father ending. That none of them, and this is maybe not a criticism, because if you're trying to model a choose your own adventure book, this perfectly does it, because those books are kind of silly in the same way. So if you're happy with that, I think you'd be happy watching this, as long as you don't go in expecting some sort of transcendental tale of like free will versus determinism or something.
Yeah, I was expecting them to funnel it out a little bit more, or funnel it in as you got more into it. Like, I was expecting more choices in the middle, and then
choices early on don't really matter all that much. It's really the later decisions that change things for you.
Yeah. So yeah, and I was expecting it to kind of funnel in. So like later, more kind of what they talk about, where it's like you have the illusion of choice, but they're really giving you, you're really going down the route that they want you to go.
Yes.
Just you're choosing, which hall to go down, but they all go the same way.
Yes, exactly. Which would fit with the free will argument that the show is kind of making in some of the storylines. Yeah,
and that kind of takes the fun out of it, because it's like, all right, then this is just a mechanic. It's not really, you're not really affecting the story after.
There's one that does that. One of the therapist trips is the answers are yes or fuck yes are your two options.
Yes, that was in the Netflix ending. Yeah, they both do the same thing. It's like they do this all the time on Monday Night Raw and WWE, where they'll put up a fan poll or something where it's like, we're gonna have Jeff Hardy and Samoa Joe fight tonight, and you get to choose the stipulations for the match. Do you want a no disqualification match, a no holds barred match, or another thing that's basically a different name but the same thing? Like all of those things are more or less the same thing. And so whichever one you choose, and also when they do that, I don't necessarily think they're actually taking people's votes in anyway, but that's neither here nor there. But basically, they're giving you this illusion of choice, but it's going to be some version of a match where they can hit each other with chairs and shit.
Yes, yeah.
I thought it was going to be a little bit more like that, but it actually wasn't. It was pretty. You actually got to influence the story quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same option. It's like you kill your father, but you just get to choose which dismemberment process you undertake with him.
Right.
So but those actually end up in very different story endings from each other, which is kind of a neat twist on it. But yeah,
did you make it all the way through to the tag at the end too?
What's the tag?
So after you get through the main thing, this doesn't happen if you do the family ending where he goes back in time. If you kill the father, you chop him up, and the game comes out, that's the end of the movie. But then over the credits, they have a tag where it's it's present day, and they're doing
I have seen that with it's the daughter that Colin has.
Yes. Yeah. And then she is bringing the game back, and you get one last thing where you can have her pour tea over her thing or destroy the computer.
Yes, yeah, because that always ends the thing. Yes, that is. I did get to that my first time through.
You did. Okay, yeah.
Yes, and that's that makes sense. I think I did not make the connection until the second time through that she is the baby that you meet early on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a neat little sort of twist. It gives it a little bit of a spooky vibe at the end, as if it's some sort of possession thing that's going on with this demon, this Pax demon or something. But yeah, it's a good tag.
As far as story goes, I was a little bit disappointed that it ends so quickly after the where he's yelling out to who's controlling me, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Because I thought that was the point where things were going to kind of open up a little bit more. Because the choices they give you, at least when I had it, were the symbol thing or the PACS.
Yep.
And I was expecting to get some sort of like explanation of either of those things. Like I was expecting maybe more about the author or more about the program. But I guess in retrospect, the idea is that the kid's just fucking crazy. So it's neither of those things, really.
Yeah, he's gone off his meds at that point. I do like one of the threads that I enjoy the most is the medication thread, and like how taking his medication will either end things for you or continue it. And that's just kind of a neat little, no matter how you choose those decision trees early on, he kind of will get to this point where he is back on his medication at a certain point. And I ran into one where one storyline didn't give me the option to kill his father. He just did it before that decision was made.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Which is kind of neat.
I got one where, the first time through, I immediately went with Colin and went for the acid trip sequence. And so when I eventually did go to the doctor and she gave me those pills, I didn't get the option to take them. I only got the option to throw them in the trash or throw them in the toilet. So it's like once you've had your mind opened by Colin, you do not have the option to take the pills. Yeah,
that's kind of neat and everything. But yeah, it's definitely good. Well, we'll call it there for a day. I think we would discuss enough. It's well worth watching, I think. It's not too long. It probably takes you 40 minutes to an hour to run through it, I think. So that's why I'd hesitate to call it a movie, but you will end up watching more than that, I think, if you want to get the most out of it. But it's a neat gimmick. Maybe Netflix will do more of this stuff. It's kind of a neat use of the streaming technology in a way that you can't really do it with you could do it with the DVD, but it would be more clunky.
It's funny you should bring that up because, about maybe 10 years ago or so now, Final Destination 3, when it came out on DVD, the DVD was Choose Your Own Adventure. It had Choose Your Own Adventure function, which was fun, but it was super clunky. Like it was not like they put some thought into it, but clearly it was just a DVD extra, so they couldn't really refine it.
You're just jumping between DVD chapters, I'd assume.
No, it actually was, or maybe it was. I don't exactly remember, but it was some things. I think there were some things that were actively different, like you could choose to go talk to somebody, but if you didn't go talk to somebody, then like somebody's death wouldn't happen until later or something like that. It was something like it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And it was a good idea, but it wasn't, the mechanics weren't there for it. And this is a much more fluid experience. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But that's about it, guys. Thanks very much for listening. We'll be back with all the podcasts and stuff. Let me know what you thought about Bandersnatch. Leave your comments below. Let me know if you also didn't get to see the safe your first time through. Clay, thanks for talking about Bandersnatch with me.
Thanks for having me. I look forward to maybe talking about it next time or maybe not, depending on what choices I am offered.
That's right. We'll go back in time and we'll see. You have two options here. You can hit the like or the dislike button. I would heavily suggest you hit the like button for this video. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.